Hi guys, so welcome to my new office. Isn't this great? I have like a brand new desk. Hopefully I'll be able to show you a little bit more. I can't show you that side of the room because just trust me, OMG, you don't want to see it. Also, I appreciate you stepping in and seeing High Bun life. This is normal day in the life of Michelle. So this is generally what we get. Sweater, tank top, high bun, good stuff. Oh, and a big old cup of coffee here in the afternoon. Today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about some lay flat photography. I know a lot of photographers are into it, non-photographers are into it. It is just so fun for Instagram, Facebook, all of social media. So let's start in with some flat lay or lay flat, whatever we're calling it, some basics, things that you need to understand when creating these photos. So I've broken it down into about 5 basic categories, things that you need to understand when doing flat lay photography. The first is your backdrop, understanding what your background is in your images and making sure that it's either not textured enough or too textured to balance out the goal of the photo that you're trying to capture is very important. The second thing you need to pay attention to are different kinds of textures. So what reads best in photos, especially when it is flat lay, flat right on top, is multiple textures kind of interfering with each other, almost contrasting with each other at times, but it makes for a more interesting photo because you don't have any depth. Everything is flat right on top of each other. So creating different kinds of textures is really key to getting just that really fun, interesting, and appealing look. Another thing to consider is your focus point, which is either what you're focused on in the image, whether that is you have a specific subject in mind, if you're doing some sort of a product photography in that, or if you are just trying to create a theme or an idea throughout that image, what is your focus point? But taking that a step further, when you're taking photos on your camera, are you focused on the right thing? Is your aperture correct? Are you seeing everything that you're wanting to see? Or do you want everything crisp? Do you want a little blur to some of those photos? Do you want to take into consideration which aperture that you're using if you're taking your photos on a camera, or if you're taking it on a phone? Understand the capabilities of your phone, and that the majority of the time, honestly, with phones, everything's going to be in focus, which is wonderful, but there is issues then if you're not paying attention to your background or your texture, that it might look too busy. So taking these things into consideration in the overall photo will definitely help you make a better flat lay photo. A fourth point to take into consideration is your white space. So this is less is more, or more is more. You really want to be able to understand that keeping a clean area in some points of the photo might enhance it or might direct your eye to something else, just depending again on what your point is for the photo. If you're trying to showcase a lot of things, whether you want it to look organized or disorganized, whether you want everyone's attention to go to a particular product that you might be selling or supporting or sponsoring for a particular photo. This leads me to my 5th and final point, which is leading lines. If you've ever heard of the term leading lines in photography, generally that is something the photographer puts in place in a photo or just captures intentionally, where the lines direct your eyesight to one thing or another. So this is super important when understanding flat lay or lay flat photography. You want to make sure that you are directing people's attention where you want it directed. There's definitely messages that can be conveyed how you lay things in the photo, and the majority of the time it's a lot of trial and error. So we're gonna take this to the actual board here. We're gonna get the camera set up overhead. So welcome to this side, guys. We are doing a little bit of lay flat right now with these new wedding magazines that I just got in. So they're style guides for couples that are getting married. So like it on the white, but I want to create a little bit of dimension. So these are actually some really fun textured chargers that I got a while back. I think it was at Pier 1 Imports. And I kind of love that. Rather than just having like the pastel bleed into the white, it really sets it apart with a little bit of height, but it's just like super nice and a really like fun textured color. Always loved adding ribbon just to see what it looks like. So these are some silk ribbons that I actually purchased from another photographer friend of mine that was getting rid of them. And they're just super sheer and super fun and just like a yummy accent in the background. It's not too like heavy. It still keeps up with that pastel feel that I really love. but just, you know, fun texturing things on top of each other. I am super big on keeping a lot of white space in my photos for like my social, my Instagram and stuff like that, just because my brand is like pastels and whites, but definitely love that. So I'm thinking about adding in some ring boxes here. As you can see, these are my little Mrs. boxes. If you have not heard of Mrs. Box and you are getting into wedding photography, you need to get on these things. So they are beautiful, adorable, velvet covered boxes. I usually recommend to my clients to pick them up, but these are 4 that I have in my collection that I like bring to weddings, if just in case my couple doesn't have one. But I just kind of pick out what colors I like best with the photos, and I am going with the green on this because, you know, the green is just so pretty in here, and it's really just fun and lovely with this setup. So I have beautiful wedding and engagement rings myself, so they usually find their way into my photos, my styled photos like this, which, you know, is kind of fun. So I'm just going to add them to the box right here. Again, just because this is for wedding clients, this is my style guide for the couples that book me as their photographer. So I want that full message to be conveyed that we're going toward weddings and that feel of engagement photography. And another step to my clients, just letting them know to remind them to get their Mrs. Boxes for their wedding. But I also have some really fun tips in this style guide, and that is definitely one of my suggestions also. So I'm thinking about adding a little bit more depth with another color just to complement it a little bit more to make that ring box stand out. And there's really no right or wrong way of doing this, but you just definitely want it to all match and look really beautiful in the end. So this is a second setup that I thought was really cool. This actual backdrop is a little... it's not really little. It is a placemat that I also got from Pier 1 Imports. This thing is covered in beading and it is just gorgeous. As you can see, it looks so good under the light. Not loving that little ring dish and the reflection of the light, but generally I would shoot it by window light or with a reflector. I'm just using this bright light for the sake of the video. But love how just this whole thing resonates with the metallic. So I'm thinking about adding in other metallic items. So we have this pen, these beautiful little wax seals. I have a pair of scissors. Again, just things, different metallic items that would go well. I thought that these sunglasses would look really great. This looks awful though. These sunglasses are beautiful. They're bright gold, but it is way too textured on the backdrop. So we're just gonna put them off to the side and try something else. But it's just fun to play around, add and subtract things, see what your eye loves, see what it doesn't love, and note that that probably is what resonates with other people. So I'm grabbing my 52 list project book, and I kind of like the way it's just matte finish and it looks on top of the beading. Kind of put my pen in there also, but zoom in, zoom out, see what really looks best with the particular backgrounds that you're choosing or the images that you're trying to convey. Maybe it sends a completely different message zoomed in. I kind of love this. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it is definitely resonating with me. Trying to play around with stuff on the side, it's just not working. We need a little more simplicity since we're zoomed in. Just the simple pen on the side works. All right, guys, I hope some of these tips helped you and you are now ready to go out and tackle some lay flat photos. Definitely feel free to shoot me a message down below and let me know if these helped or enhanced your flat lay photos at all. My apologies about flipping between flat lay and lay flat. I don't know. Will somebody just respond to me and tell me down below which one is it? Because I look it up online and I feel like both are very common. So help me out here. Like this video if you enjoyed it and feel free to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.